Alright, this is an introduction as to what to do and where to cut when you're doing your vegetable oil conversion. First thing you're probably going to want to do is start with the coolant lines, and on this particular model here, coolant comes out of the engine right there and then into the heater core of the car, and you're going to want to tap into that hose somewhere right about here where we got this brass T. Kind of see it there. That's one place you want to cut. The other is down this way. I don't know how well we're going to be able to get in there, but let's see. Right here, kind of underneath this water pump guy here, I had a section of hose that worked out pretty well for hacking into this. Not the easiest place to get to, but definitely works out well. Nice smooth place. You can get a T in there without too much hassle. We get the fuel lines going. Okay, now to cut the coolant or the fuel lines, you're going to really want to figure out where the fuel is routed and how it's done originally. Which is going to be kind of hard because now I've got all the fuel lines going every which way. But originally, my fuel came in through this line right here, where my finger's touching, up through the diesel primer filter, into the lift pump, out of the lift pump, up into the secondary filter. From there, it went back down, which is going to be really hard to see, but it's underneath the diesel filter, the big one, and then it goes into the injection pump. Once it's in the injection pump, it goes into the engine, but there's a return line that goes from the injector pump, and then there's also a return line that comes from the engine, both of which meet up at this little bolt here. And then from there it went into this metal pipe down here, which is no longer metal because of the veggie lines working through. Cutting these lines are not terribly difficult. You just gotta make sure you know what you're doing and kind of move everything out of the way as best you can. Definitely take out the battery, lose that guy. This guy's real annoying. Move the oil stick. Just anything you can to get out of the way will really help. Let's see. That's pretty much it for the fuel. It's not terribly difficult. One thing you're really going to want to know is this bolt here is hollow, and that allows vegetable oil or diesel or biodiesel to get back into this filter, and it also makes it really hard to prime the lines. So what I did was I took latex caulk, put that into the hole, and that sealed it up really nicely. I can still have a little bit of air coming out here, but no air is going into the injector pump, which is what you want. You want any air in the inlines. On the outlines, it's not ideal, but it's tolerable. As you can see back in the trunk, we have the fuel tank and the veggie filter. In the fuel tank, you see the two coolant hoses going into the built-in radiator in the tank. Heats up the oil in the tank. Well, that's nice and warm, which is good. And then you get the fuel out, which this becomes solid once the engine's running and pulling from the tank. And the inline from the filter is always solid with veggie fuel, which is excellent. Some people recommend electric heaters for their filter. I say heck with that and just wrap a bunch of coolant hose. It gets just as hot and you don't have to run any electrical stuff, which is kind of annoying. Speaking of electrical stuff, let's go check out the fuse box and show you how to wire up the switch. Not the easiest thing to figure out on yourself, but it's really not too tough if you know what you're doing. Alright, to get the switch wired up, you're going to want to check out the diagram that I've posted on the website. However, right here, while we're in the fuse box, you can see pretty easily. I used number 2, which after I checked the manual and learned that that controlled the cigarette lighter, which I don't have any use for, I figured that'd be a good place to tap into the power. So what I did was I connected my terminal to some 18 gauge wiring right there and just stuck that in between the fuse and the fuse holder. It doesn't seem like a secure connection, but it's actually really tight and it's not going to go anywhere. And it really takes care of everything you need for this little conversion you got going. once more I'm going to show you the coolant line on the return where you're going to cut into it. It comes out right here, right near the heater wall. Can't really get too much of, there's a good view. It's that guy in the center there to the right of this guy. You don't want to be on that one.